Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode about the truth about success. This is where we interview successful people from all around the world, all different walks of life, to find out their truths about success. And today we have a very special guest. This young gentleman, Mr. James Tanti, I got to tell you, is one of the people I respect the most in our business, in our industry. He has been in the business for over 30 years. He has been at the top of his game every year for 30 years. And not only that, his business has turned over $300 million so far and still counting. But what's also special about James is his personal mission. I just want to read this. His personal mission is to change lives, make a difference, and having fun while being in alignment with the values of faith, family, health, integrity, and empowerment. What a great role model we have for us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. James Tanti. Hi, James.
Hey, how you doing, Al? Good to see everyone here.
Yeah, good. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I think you're in Arizona right now. Is it? You're on the road?
Indeed, yes. Just beautiful Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. Well, Scottsdale's a beautiful place to be. So let's just get straight in. One of the first questions I've got here is when people look and they see successful people, one of the things they always think you're lucky or you were born successful because they're seeing obviously the finished article. And what are your thoughts on that statement?
Well, I think I am special. We are all
to begin.
We're all creatures of God, and we're all special in our unique ways. But nothing happens by accident, and it reminds me of the book Grit by Angela Duckworth, where really the essence of grit is having a passion and applying that passion persistently over time, and that will trump natural talent. So there's people that often you see come and go that have so much talent, and maybe they get a fast start, but they just don't have that stickability. And truly, I think that might be the competitive advantage that we've endured, and that's we don't quit.
But again, you're talking about this person. They're looking at you, go, James. You're lucky. You had it easy. When you have somebody say that to you, what do you say back to them?
Well, yeah, we are lucky, and it's labor under correct knowledge. And a lot of people, they'll see the prize, but they don't see the price that you have to pay to get to the prize.
Yeah. So I get what you mean. A lot of people don't want to put that time in. They want instant success. That's, they want a result, and you tell them you're going to have to work a few years for this. They go, I don't know what I want to do that. But so moving on from that. So what was your childhood like?
Well, once upon a time, I was a little boy and a teenager, young man. I had the privilege of growing up in a small town. I think there's some benefits to being in a nice rural area. Our family we had a little place that was away from town in the coast, British Columbia, Canada, and I have two brothers, one older, one younger. I'm sandwiched in between, and my parents, hardworking folk. My dad was the breadwinner, if you will, of the household. We didn't have a lot of financial abundance, but we were a family.
And so you weren't born into a really rich family. You just came from a normal, average background. Is that what you're saying?
Rich in spirit.
Okay. Rich in spirit. Okay. And then, so did you go to college? Did you go to university? Did you go down that line?
Went into business, and That was a lot of fun, a lot of learning experiences, a lot of late nights cramming. But yeah, I just I had kind of a regular middle class upbringing, and learned the disciplines of hard work and accepting responsibility. We had a small hobby farm, so it's a good childhood.
Michelda, so when you look back now on your childhood, your teenage days and growing up, are there any of the things that you can relate back to say during that period of time that now you realize helped shape you to be the business person you are today, or the successful person you are today?
I think growing up, I was always a little industrious and entrepreneurial. Um, I remember I seen somebody with a lemonade stand, and I was like, I like that. That looks like a good idea. But what I didn't realize, that you need customers. And so we're at the end of this dirt road, and popped up a table, and I was like, this is the best lemonade ever. And I think I drank most of the lemonade. It waited 2 or 3 hours, seemed like all day long. But I did have one customer. Fortunately, my price was double of what the competition was. They really didn't have much choices where I was at, so I was able to charge 50 cents. So yeah, always did kind of like side gigs, piecework. Even as young as age 8, 9, we lived in the woods, so I would go up, pick salal and cash that in. They make flowers out of that stuff. My brother and I, we'd cut down trees, chop wood, and so always doing something to generate a buck.
So tell me, what made you go into business? What made you take that route?
Well, I've had 3 real jobs, and during high school and through college, got laid off on 2 of those jobs. And then one day I was coming out of the shower in college. My roommate invited somebody over that was showing a business plan. It was a network marketing thing. And I was like, this sounds pretty good. And at the time I was poor, hungry, determined, naive. And but I understood that you can leverage your time through the efforts of other people. And that's kind of where I guess I took the first step into business and had incredible learnings. And that's pretty much, I would say, how I got started in the world of business.
I like how you used the word, you got incredible learnings, which means it didn't go very well for the beginning. There was a hard learning process and a hard learning curve. So when you look now, I mean, okay, you've been in business now 30 years, you've been very successful. What would you say is been your biggest achievement, and why?
Biggest achievement? Well, I would say biggest success has been married happily for 25 years, attracting my soulmate and somebody I'm best friend with, somebody that I can pitch and catch with, and that's and somebody I can have a business with. It's been extremely rewarding. That, on a personal side, I would say that that's a huge achievement. And nowadays, people kind of throw in the towel, and there's challenges in relationships, especially if you're working with your spouse. But I would say it's a huge win, and it's a win every day, and very grateful for that. Achievement wise, there's been so many fun contests and challenges and things like that we've been able to accomplish. But I remember in the beginning days, there was this ring. It was a gold ring, and you could get diamonds in the ring, and you're smiling. You've probably seen some of those rings. And I was like, I've never.
Is it this one?
It was another one, but I was obsessed with it. I would go to sleep at night, and I'd close my eyes. I'd see this ring, and all these things about visualization, law of attraction. And man, I got that ring and it was like, oh, it was a prize. It was like, I was so proud of that trophy.
Yeah. Actually, I always think when I look back, your first big win is the one that makes, because after a while you get, and I remember my first nice car I got, the big leap from the banger, the scruffy car that's falling apart, and then you buy this one car that's like newish. It wasn't brand new, but it was newish. I mean, that was just like, man, I've arrived. That was that.
Mhm.
Now you can buy a nice exotic car, but you're not making those big jumps. It's just
Yeah.
a small. So I get what you mean. So moving from your thing, and by the way, what you mentioned there about marriage, that is so special. And JL obviously has been a guest on this show. So if anybody wants to look that up, she's a fantastic lady. It's there in the library. Just go search it out. But moving from that achievement and the things that excite, what's been your biggest challenges on the other side of it?
Well, every day is a new and special, unique challenge. Yeah, I would say that a challenge of a test of faith would have been back in the college days, doing a solo parachute jump,
Wow.
and it's a half a day where you go to the base and you see some people jumping, and we seen this guy who flared too early and he broke his leg. And then they take us up in the plane after you see this person break their leg. And I was the first one, and there's no door. You crawl out on a wing. You got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, and all you're doing is waiting for the tap, and you jump in. And I do remember 85 miles an hour. My flesh was peeled back, and just taking that leap of faith, and just knowing that God will take care of me, and also the parachute will. So if you haven't jumped out of a plane, don't do it.
Oh no, I won't do it. I can assure you that will be not something. But you're kind of an adrenaline guy. You like all that stuff. I've seen you in jail go this zip lining through the forest, doing all sorts of things. You obviously get a kick from those type of things.
Yeah, there's lots of fun adrenaline adventures we've been on, walking on fire, doing trapezes, all sorts of crazy stuff. But jumping out of a plane is kind of wild. I would say challenge in business though, Io, would have been in the days when we first started. We were just getting traction, and the revenue was coming in. We were building our team, and we bought our first house. We bought our first building. We had staff hired, and things were rolling along. And my wife read this book, Who Moved My Cheese? And we felt, hey, if we're going to grow this thing bigger and better and stronger, we need to figure out where more cheese is. And so we left our business in Canada and we started from scratch in the US. And it was literally that the hard part wasn't not having the knowledge. It was really starting all over, and not having people or staff you can delegate to, and ground up. That it was a challenge, but it was definitely humbling to take 3 steps back to take 100 steps forward.
So you had to, how many years had you been in business when you made that move?
We had our office open for 3 years.
3 years. So after 3 years, you made the decision. What was this? So you made the decision to move to California. Was that because you saw that obviously as a bigger business opportunity, but then you had to make the sacrifice of leaving everything behind and starting again.
Yeah. And we not even credit, like you're starting from scratch, new immigrant.
Yeah. So, that's intriguing, because a lot of people are caught in a position and they just won't make that sacrifice which is what it is, or take that step where you say you got to go back 2-3 steps to come back stronger. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's you have to take a look at the bigger picture of things, and short-term pain it's worth the long-term gain if you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you see where you're going. You have to look beyond the hurdle, and sometimes there will be challenges, obstacles, roadblocks, and you gotta look above and beyond.
So how do you handle failure or rejection? Because I mean, that's what stops most people from being successful, is they get some failure, they get some rejection, and that holds them back. How do you handle it?
Well, no, everybody feels fear. It doesn't matter, what levels of achievement or accolades that you've accomplished. It's really the meaning that you give to failure or rejection, and failure. I never see failure as failure, only as an opportunity to learn and grow, and develop skills and improve and perfect performance. And sometimes failure is just an opportunity to develop your sense of humor. And so it just kind of reframing it for a meaning where you're not taking it personally. It's not bruising your ego, and understand that you got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And you do it, and you condition a reflex, and then really it's you don't think about it. It's a habit.
But I suppose when you learn to deal with that over and over again, it becomes a habit of how you respond. I love that saying where life is 10% what happens, 90% how you respond. So you learn how to respond it. And you talked about how you give meaning to that failure. Just elaborate on that a bit more. So I imagine I'm trying to get a promotion, and I'm working hard, and I've tried 3 times, and I've been knocked back 3 times, and I haven't got the promotion. How would I deal with that?
Well, we fortunately we have a bundle of emotions that we can feel. We can positive or negative emotions, and they're all gifts. We can't always be happy, but when we're in a moment where we're frustrated or feel defeated, we just can't stay there, and we have to ask better questions. We have to control our state, change our focus, sometimes moving our body, sometimes going for a run to change our state. If ever you're in a position where you're down and disillusioned and depressed or whatever, you can't stay there. You can feel that feeling. It's okay, but you got to shift gears. And so ask better questions. And sometimes you just don't feel resourceful, so you can go exercise, breathe, and then that changes the endorphins, changes everything, and then start really changing your focus and saying, what's good about this situation. And then sometimes you got stinking thinking, and you go, well, what could be good? And you start moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I suppose if like we're talking now, you're looking at the screen, and if you look at the screen, sometimes you can get so intense. But it's amazing when you just take your eyes away from something that's in front of you, and you just look further afield, how more relaxed you are. So it's just changing your environment, changing your state of mind is probably one of the first steps to you being able to make that change, and then reassessing what you've got to do. So talking about success, because the heading of our thing is the truths about success. What are your truths? If you're sitting down, you were talking to someone, I know you got grandchildren now. Imagine you were sitting down talking to your grandchildren. They're now 20 years old, and you say, let me tell you the truths about success, what would you say to them?
Okay, so I'm putting the grandfather hat on right now,
By
right?
the way, your grandchildren are not 20 years old, so
No, they're little. They're little, so they have the attention span about 0.1 seconds. So even if I gave them words of wisdom, they'd be off to the next thing. When people look at success, I think they look at the material aspect of success in most cases, or they take a look at, hitting the goals, making the numbers, reaching this pinnacle of achievement or whatever it might be. But I think there's another part of it, and that's enjoying the process. And so there's kind of the science where you set the goal and you do whatever it takes and you get it done. And then there's also the art of it. And the art of it is really being in alignment with your values and finding a way to make it fun and enjoy the process.
So if you were to narrow it down to 2 or 3 tips, what would those tips be?
2 or 3 tips. Well, it's a balance between the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. I think, life is a game, and we all want to play to win. And it's okay to lose a game here or there. And most importantly, we can have tons of money in the bank account, and at the end of the day, you can feel empty. But I believe true success is being wealthy in all aspects, being emotionally wealthy, meaning you're fulfilled, you feel great, you know that you're contributing to the greater good, and you are making a difference. And if you have a ton of cash stashed away at the same time, and you've reached those other materialistic goals, and you can share that with family and friends, that I would say is the truth of success.
And that's I love the fact that you say it's the person you become in the process. We don't seem, from the outside looking, when you're looking up and you're looking at successful people, we see the success, but like I say, that's measured materially, but we don't see that person from where they started to who they become today. And I think that for me has been a massive thing, from sleeping on a French chair to where I am today. And it's more of the person that you become. And I think if you hold on to that gets you the material things. I think people don't understand that that's what actually gets you the real success, to then get you the material things. That personal development, the person you become. So in fulfillment, what gives you your greatest fulfillment then right now?
Well, being a parent is always fulfilling. Being a grandparent is even more fulfilling, because you just get all the joy and pleasures, and you don't have to deal with the diapers and all the screaming and sleepless nights and stuff like that. But I would say that another aspect of the fulfillment is helping other people achieve their goals, is being able to coach, mentor, and challenge people through whatever limiting doubts, that beliefs they might have, and get them to break through and become a better version of themselves, and see a transformation where their life becomes better, and that ripple effect perpetuate. And I think that would be the ultimate fulfillment, because the payment you receive is the gratification knowing that you're helping others.
Yeah, well, so right. I mean, one of the things I talk about in the Y Factor Academy is our mission is to empower people to take action. But I've always loved that saying: feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, and you feed him for life. Yeah. And us empowering other people for them to be successful, it's just so fulfilling. so fulfilling. So if we move from success to to the opposite side, which is fail, why do people fail, do you think? Why do people not excel and get to the potential they're capable of getting to?
Well, I would say not knowing what you really want. It's funny, you will ask people, hey, what do you want? And then they might tell you, hey, this is what I don't want. Or you ask them, hey, what do you really want? And they go, well, and then they go around in circles and they're not really clear on it. And I would say, first and foremost, the starting point is know what you want with detail, specific, so that you can see it, you can feel it, you can know it in your heart and in your fiber of being. And so it becomes a part of you. Knowing, being super ultra clear on what you want. That would be number one. And you know, we are in a business environment where things are changing so much. And so people that don't adapt to change, they don't embrace change, they die. They become irrelevant. It's you see mega Fortune 500 companies that they don't adapt to change. That, you know, we're too big to fail. And it's not true. You know, disruption is happening everywhere. So we have to be open to adjust and change with the times.
Again, absolutely. I mean, one of my philosophies of life is about evolving to be the best you can be. You've got to constantly be changing because the world is changing too. And if you don't keep up with the world, you're gonna be left behind. But you know, you talk about people not being focused, not being clear. I know you and I have done a lot of projects we've done about that vision, having that vision, having a vision board. How important is that?
Well, without a vision, people will perish, right? And a vision is really more of a longer term goal, if you will. It's being able to see. It's being able to see where you're going, and seeing in many cases is believing, and we have to believe in possibilities. Sometimes we have self-doubt. Sometimes we doubt ourselves. If we see other people doing it, it inspires us that, hey, we can do it too. If other people haven't done it yet and you're a pioneer walking in a path, you have to have a vision. You have to see further ahead than anybody else, and that's usually 3 to 5, sometimes 10 years down the road. Yeah.
Well, that vision board is so important. I mean, we did it in our goal setting exercise. I know you do it, you encourage it. And to anybody listening now, so just taking some of the nuggets you've given us here, you're saying you've got to have clarity. The reason people don't make it is they're not really clear of where they're going. That's like jumping in your car and you're going somewhere and you don't put the destination into that GPS and sat nav. So that's one key point, is knowing exactly where you want to go, and then getting a clear vision, clear details of exactly what you want. So we use the example, if you want to buy a car, is what type of car, what model, what color, what leather, what wheels, whatever. You want that detail, as much detail. How important is that detail to achieving the goal?
Well, the more specific, the better. And I think it ultimately, whatever the goal is, knowing what you want, seeing it in living color, literally, you want to see it in a movie. So it is totally, completely real to you. And breaking it down into whatever the action plan is to achieve it. It usually boils down into an activity that's going to generate a specific revenue or profit that will convert into whatever this particular outcome is.
So talking about that, I mean, one of the things I looked at when I was coming through from nothing, I looked for role models, people who I was in harmony with them, their personality, we were sort of like in tune. And you know, I studied them, and you don't have to have a role model that you just a mentor. You know, they can mentor you from afar. Did you have any mentors in your career?
Oh, tremendous. And the way a mentor works is, you're right. It's somebody that you have to respect, somebody that will inspire you to greatness, that will inspire you to go outside of your comfort zone. And there'll be a point where your mentor is like, thank you. And then you need to move on to the next mentor. So it might be in a specific area of life. Maybe you want to improve your physical health, and you have a mentor in that area. Maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's in your finances. Maybe you can generate revenue, but you're not necessarily retaining profits, or maybe you're not investing or having your money work for you. So I think it's vital to have mentors, because it pushes us to become more.
So looking at the world we're in today, and we've had a very tough couple of years. Some people have really had a tough time. Some have come through it. And, the current turmoil in the world, we're not talking politics here, but there is so much turmoil and negativity around. How do you stay focused with all that going on around?
Well, there's always turmoil. and there's a flavor of the day. And if I look back from when I was a kid, there was challenges then that were in the moment, that they were the worst of times. And as Dickens says, these are the best of times, and these are the worst of times. And I think a lot of that really has to do with what we're focusing on. I'm definitely not downplaying the pandemic. It was very hard and tragic in many ways for so many people. But if we put that in perspective, we have 50% of people right now at risk of heart disease, and 1 in 3 people at risk of cancer, and diabetes is a epidemic of all proportions. And we can focus on the problem, but ultimately I believe we need to be the solution, and we need to be a beacon of light and focus on positivity, and not get distracted by the viral nature of media. Media's job is to get people's attention. How do you get people's attention? You shock people. And how do you shock people? Is you show them negativity. And you can get down a path of a rabbit hole and just believe that, oh, it's the worst of times. We're actually getting into endemic, which some people will say, oh, well, that's positive. But then there's a war, and then there's the stock market pulling back, and then there's unemployment, and then the Fed's going to be increasing interest rates. And it's, yeah, you gotta stay focused on what's important now, and not get distracted by all the noise out there, because there is a tremendous amount of noise. And when we talk about comparing with where we're at now, we are blessed. We have more freedom, more choices, more opportunity today than ever before in history. Statistics will show it. Statistics will show it. So I think it's so important to not get disillusioned and distracted, and really stay focused on all the goodness that's out there.
Okay, as we're coming to the end of this, what are your 2 or 3 tips if you were for somebody starting out? What advice would you give
them? Well, goals are so important. Like it sounds cliche, but you got to know what you want and why you want it. A lot of times people going, oh, it's hard. This is hard. And Richard Branson, who's from the UK, which I believe you've met, he has a saying, play and work, it's all the same. It's all about living. And when your vocation is a vacation, you never work. And so I believe that if you're starting out and you're passionate about what you do, you're in a good place. It's so important to do what you love and love what you do. And if you don't, get out and do something that you like, otherwise you're working and it's just a job. But you can't just, go around playing without, earning, without being productive. Right. And so your passion, You want to be the best you can be at whatever your passion is, and you need to monetize it. And you have to take a look. Hey, how can I time is money. So how can I make the most amount of income for my time? And that's really a business principle, is how do I leverage time to make more money? And then work hard. It takes work. And you got to have that massive action plan, and you got to put the pedal to the metal, and you got to go, and you got to go, and you got to go, and you got to keep on going. And then when you get there, you raise the bar and you take a look at something that's new, and or otherwise you plateau and you're on a downward climb.
You just reminded me of the home I had. I had this home, 14 acres of grounds. It was landscape, beautiful home and everything. This guy came to see me one day, and he was admiring the house, and he said, man, if I had a home like this, I'd never go out. I'd just be here all the time. I said, well, well, then you'll never get a house like this. Because if you don't go to work, it's not going to happen. But I like that key nugget you just mentioned, that we only have 24 hours in a day. So you've got to improve your skill and your worth so you can increase how much you make per hour. Because you only have 24, and you only do that really by leveraging yourself and growing and building people in the team around you. So you've got people who say, well, James, I've been working at this, for 5 years now, I still haven't had a breakthrough. What advice would you give to them?
I'd say, hey, you're a late bloomer. No, truth of the matter is you never know when the levee's going to break. And if you believe in the mission, you believe in the product, you believe in the company, and you believe you're doing the right thing, just keep on doing it, and keep on doing it, and keep on doing it. And if it's not working, find out who is making it work, and borrow their tactics and their techniques. It's a very simple thing, modeling, right? Sometimes we get so focused on doing our own thing, and we get in our own little silo and doing the wrong thing over and over and over and expecting different results. Well, it's total insanity. So if there's other people in your industry that are crushing it, take them out for lunch, pick their brain, find out what's working, see one of their presentations, and model what works. And the truth of the matter is businesses will fail for primarily two reasons: lack of knowledge or lack of resources, which would be capital, could be money or time. And so if you're in a business where there is knowledge, be a student and absorb the knowledge, and be hungry for knowledge and apply that knowledge. And if there is best practices at work, just duplicate it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. And then resources, what you lack in money, you make up for effort. And when you're in business startup, you're CEO, you're doing product distribution, you're number one salesperson, you're sweeping the floors, you're doing your social media, you're startup mode. And that's a beautiful time, because at some point you have to delegate that to somebody else to do. And so you need experience in that area. So stick with the fight while your heart is hit. It's when things go wrong that you mustn't quit. Believe in possibilities and keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it.
Yeah, and again, another thing you reminded me of, it was that saying, is it the definition of insanity, to continue doing what's not working, but to expect a different result. You've tried it, it's not working, but you never go and ask for help or sit down and say, hey, is this really working? And if it's not working, being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, it's not working. I need help. I need help. Okay, so James, as we come to a close, was it worth it? Was it worth all the hard work, the sacrifices, and there's still hard work involved, because once you become successful, you still have to work hard to stay at it. Was it worth it?
Was it worth it? You're asking a question which presupposes I've arrived. Not quite. The journey continues. The journey continues, and I would say, first and foremost, we're so fortunate. We're so grateful. And I would say we're rich in, emotionally, rich in health, financially. We're very fortunate to have financial abundance. And some people say, hey, but money is not everything, or money cannot buy happiness. And I'll disagree. And the reason why I disagree is you give money to somebody that really, really needs it, and you see them smile, and you know that it can. And so if you don't do it for yourself, do it for others.
Yeah.
And when you can give and give unconditionally without expecting back, is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. When you can help other people share that same entrepreneurial spirit and do the same thing, and they turn around and say, thank you for believing me, thank you for giving me a helping hand, thank you for nudging me when I needed it the most. And so those would be the true fruits of the efforts of going the extra mile.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that, because, like I say, it's touching people's lives and making a difference. And once you have abundance for yourself, it's also you help other people and teach those other people to help others from there. It's making a difference. So your personal, what's your favorite dish? What's your favorite dish?
What's my favorite food? Well, we've traveled the world and we've dined at the finest Michelin restaurants and tasted from the best chefs, and full circle, I like healthy home cooked meals, and I've been predominantly plant-based for 20 years now, and I believe that number one, you need the right ingredients, and the freshest, organic if possible. You need the right technique, and you need the right equipment. And so you can't cheap out on the equipment. You need a good set of cookware. But I truly believe my favorite dish is, I love veggies, and they got to be cooked right. And I believe home cooked meals the way to go.
Yeah, and if you're gonna cook, you have to cook with Salad Master. That's the key. That's the key. That's the key. So, your hobby? Do you have any hobbies?
I like chilling in the backyard and just listen to the waterfalls. I like jumping on. I used to mountain bike more. Now I got one of those full suspension e-bikes, and I'm telling you, there's so much fun screaming down the mountain. Yeah, I like to exercise. I like hanging out with grandkids. I like sipping on good wine, great food, hanging out with friends.
Now you're talking. Well, James, look, appreciate your time today. I know you're in Scottsdale. So Scottsdale, Arizona it's a really nice place to be. What do you like about Scottsdale?
It's the weather this time of year is incredible. The desert lifestyle, as long as it's not too hot, is really cool. There's golf courses all over the place, and there's a lot of palm trees and a lot of cactuses.
And a lot of money.
Scottsdale's got the money. Yeah, we just celebrated opening a new office in the neighborhood.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations. Well, James, thank you for being on the call today. Any last advice, tip you want to finish this up?
Well, you got to be patient, right? For anything that's worthwhile is going to take some time, effort, and energy, and just be patient, be persistent, keep on keeping on. take the advice that those that have been on the path that you're on right now, and be lean, stay lean. When you start making money, don't go running out there buying a bunch of expensive stuff, big house and big mortgage and all these payments and stuff like that. Just stash the cash. Stash the cash, because initially you work hard for money, and then you get enough money where you can leverage your time and get other people to help you keep the machine going. And then ultimately what you want to do is you want to have your money working hardest for you. And that's my advice. Keep the faith, believe it's possible, believe in the power of possibilities, and be gritty. Just keep on doing it, and we'll see you at the top.
See you at the top. Thank you. And I like your definition of a PhD. You have to have a PhD, which is, besides it, poor, hungry, and
determined. You got to stay hungry. Stay hungry, my friends.
Stay hungry. Well, thank you, Mr. James Dante. Thank you again for being on the call. This is great, guys. You've heard from one of the most successful people out there, to over $300 million nuggets. All we're trying to do here, the truth about success, is just give you exposure to people who are successful. And like James says, it's not that you've arrived. This is something you continue. Success is not something you get to. You have to maintain it and keep doing it. So take these truths, go and study, read, play this back again, listen to those nuggets, and begin to keep a journal as you go through this of those key points that just trigger you. So any time of the day, you can just pull out your notebook and say, hey, this is action point 1. I need to be doing that. I need to be thinking like this. Nobody is better than you. There are people doing things you are not doing. They've studied things. They've put in some apprenticeship. They put 40 hours, 400, 4,000 hours into something. You've only put 1 hour. You are not going to be as good as that person. So look, anybody can do this. It's about having that faith, determination, and staying focused, but hard work. You're not going to achieve success without hard work. The two go together. And then once you've made it, you heard what James said. Start saving that money, stash the cash, and then let your cash start working for you. When you get to that point, you're in a different world and life is good. So stay safe, stay strong. Thank you, James. Thank you for being on the call. And I look forward to seeing you guys somewhere on another Zoom or meeting or podcast somewhere else. Thank you.